technology-driven schools, and using technology to craft experiences that will prepare young people to become architects of their own learning. I would like to invite Mr. Chandrasekhar DP, CEO, Gen Group of Institutions, to join us on stage and share his concept of whole brain school, and also to then moderate the next session.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you present here. How many of you think that technology is going to replace teachers in the classroom? Fantastic. Then I think that sets the base for this panel, because rethinking education in the age of technology is all about how education can be executed in spite of technology. But how many of you think that while technology will not replace a teacher in the classroom, technology will enable a teacher in the classroom? All of us? Fantastic. I think that sets the tone for the next set of discussions. If you look at the agenda of the conference, page number 12, we have 105 minutes given to this section. And nicely, we have knocked off 60 minutes of that. We have just 45 minutes left, and we will be using that 45 minutes in an effective manner. I'll just open the presentation. I think I need some help. I had loaded a presentation on this laptop, but as it comes up, this agenda further says that this is going to be a dialogue with all of you, because I have some of the eminent panelists of this section sitting amidst all of you. I know their names are there in the agenda. Presentation number 1. Their names are there on the agenda, and they are all seated here. So what we will do is I will quickly set the context for the discussion, and then we will have an interaction. Is that okay? And while we do that, can I request the organizers to put some lights on the audience so that all faces are bright and we can have a discussion, and while we present the views, we are here to see who is also presenting the views rather than just hearing some voice. Yeah. Thank you. So as I said, rethinking education in the age of technology, with a special discussion on whole brain schools or whole brain education. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit, maybe for the next 5 minutes, about what is the context which I would like to set. Now, long ago, around 8 years ago, I read this book. Is there anybody in this room who has heard of this book and read this book? This book is by Daniel H. Pink. He speaks about a whole new mind. He says the future belongs to a different kind of person with a different kind of mind, and in conclusion he says it's the right brain thinkers. Now anybody here in the room, talk to me about right brain thinking. Any views on right brain thinking? Yes. Okay, so Roger Sperry's work, fantastic. You are seeing my slides in advance, fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to say that the latest research around the world no longer talks about right and the left brain. It talks about the whole brain teaching and learning. So it's historical, and they say there's a connection between the two. And it's very clearly said by Jill Taylor, and in his book on My Stoke on Insight. Read that. No longer, I know it's very, very traditional that we still talk about right brain and the left brain, but the new research around the world, and especially in US, is tried and tested since 1999, is about whole brain approach in teaching and learning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So once again, a slide is seen in advance. Whole brain thinking. Now, this sets the context for the next 30 minutes of discussion. We all know this. From the 18th century to the 21st century, from the industrial age or the agricultural age to the conceptual age. I don't need to explain you this. we have already we are experiencing this phenomenon in our daily lives and schools in particular. Now what is important is when I explored this area of the book which was written by Daniel H. Pink, the kind of work I do, I come from the education background, I work in Jain Group of Schools, Deep South, we are headquartered at Bangalore and we have presence across 9 states with 47 schools and around 30,000 students. Now when we work with these people, I was having this question on my mind, like what is it? It is to just be or to go beyond? It is to just let it be and say that, okay, things will take its time and it will happen on its own. And when something comes up like, the era when we say multiple intelligences are going to rule the world, all of us started looking up those Howard Gardner's thesis, and then we say, can we bring in multiple intelligences in our schools? And then something else came, ICT came, and some digital technology came. Now in the last session we saw a lot of new innovations which is coming, like how do you survey the surveillance? How do you audit it? So these are the things. So are we as educators to sit down and say, just let it be, or to go beyond? I think that's one talking point for today. Now, it resulted, just to add a little bit of credibility, it resulted in creating India's first whole brain school at Hyderabad, which was in this year, 2016 in April, and this was covered by the Times of India. Now the point is, as Madam rightly said, it's whole brain education. But what is whole brain education? So when I looked up, I encountered a series of facts. A friend of mine has already spoken about Roger Sperry. This we all knew, that a brain is into 2 dimensions, the left and the right. So that is already clear. And then further, a series of brain studies has already been done in this regard. Starting from Broca in 1864 to, as he said, Sperry earning the Nobel Prize for neurospecificity in the year 1981. But after that, there is furthermore work which is being done in this area, which is Herman, Wonder and Neethling, brain preferences, 4-quadrant research, and then Kubus Neethling, Dr. Kubus Neethling, brain instruments and the 8 dimensions. This is the latest work which we have on our hands. Now I went in search of Dr. Kubus Neethling, and this man is Dr. Kubus Neethling. He is based out of South Africa, Pretoria, and he is the inventor of the 8-dimensional whole brain thinking, which is the Neethling brain instruments model. A little bit about Dr. Kubus Neethling. He is a brain researcher who expanded the concept of whole brain thinking, the WBT, holder of 6 degrees, a doctorate and a postdoctorate, author of 90 books, a 9 TV series, innumerable awards and recognitions. Now when we met Dr. Kubus Neethling, this was in the year 2012, he gave us this dimension. He said, the whole brain understanding is now no more 2-sided. It is 8-sided, not just 4-sided, it is 8-sided, octodimensional. And when we talk about that, he divided it into L1, L2, R1 and R2. We knew the left and the right, but it is the left 1, left 2, right 1, right 2. And all of us have this. And he further gave labels to those areas. And those are the labels you see on the board. Your left 1 is further divided into realist and analyst. Your left 2 is a preserver and an organizer. Right 2 is empathizer and a socializer. And right 1 is a strategist and an imagineer. Now, these are 8 dimensions. And as she rightly said, now you need to bring in a combination of all of this when you are dealing in your daily lives. Now let me stop here and then come back to you. We all have classrooms and we all have very, very specialized classrooms, be it in terms of infrastructure, be it in terms of the composition of the classroom, and we also have a limitation on the number of students we allow them to go into the classroom. We may have 25, we may have 30 or 40, but we all know this for a fact that those 25 to 40 students are from different dimensions. Yes? These students make our classroom on a daily basis, And when you want to teach them, when you as an educator stand in front of them and engage with them, you just cannot commit that mistake of catering only to one dimension. Yes? Because the minute you start focusing on one particular dimension, you are losing out the other side of the room. Because the student sitting in the front row or the back row, if he is into R1, who is a daydreamer, who is an imagineer, he can or she can learn only when you allow them to move around. He or she can only learn when you ask them to create some kind of a drawing, a mind map, a color. But if you are using the board, be it digital or analog, and you are trying to resort to dictation, process, step by step, then you are losing out that side of the segment. So that's the revelation which was coming out of the whole brain schools model. Now moving further, what does all this mean? Now as these points come up, I think I will put all of them in the interest of time on the board, and then we shall have a discussion. What does the first point read? We are all a mix of preferences. Do we agree? Because there is no one particular situation where we say we are in the L2 quadrant. We are a mix of preferences. Second, profiling results in finding a dominance in thinking preferences or styles. So here, at this point in time, your preference may be different. Now, for example, let's come to reality today now. We are sitting at 1:30 now. We are well beyond our agenda, and we know that we should be eating by now. Right? But we are sitting here and discussing whole brain education. The brain doesn't work because there's no enough, the whole blood is moving into the stomach and there's no blood there for the brain to work. But then, from which dimension are you operating now as you sit in this room? Can we have a discussion there now? I'll go back to the slide and say, which dimension? Realist? Yes. Fantastic. I think we can have a good round of applause for that, because yes, it is from the left quadrant where you say, no, I know I want to go and eat, but it demands me to be here. Right? That's coming from the left and the right dimension, where the left is more logical, analytical, the left is more sequential, the left is more step by step. But if you are coming from the right dimension and you are pronounced there, what happens is, I care two hoots to this. I will just go do what I want because that's my fundamental preference and it is pronouncing in my way. So we operate, as I said, we operate from all dimensions, and it is not just one dimension at one point of time, it's a combination of multiple dimensions. An individual uses all four quadrants but usually prefers to be active in one or two predominant quadrants. That's the base. Whole brain thinking can encourage and train an individual to apply all four quadrants at a much more efficient level, thus making strong stronger. The last four words are important. Thus making strong stronger. So we have preferences, we have analysis, but then we can bring in a combination and make that strong preference much more stronger. The focus is not on where we come from, but who we are now. And that's what we talk about education, where we need to live in the now, the present. Where we come from is a bad way to judge people. But in the present, you need to work on it. Now, this was something which we all are interested in because we are all educators, and more importantly, we are all leaders. You have a combination of people working in your organization. For a while, forget the fact that you are dealing with students. Let's come to adults. Now, this question comes to us very naturally when we work with them. It says, why teams often fail to be successful? And these are the reasons. We have lack of interpersonal skills, no understanding, or lack of patience, extremely solution-driven, where they want solution at the end of the day, and they're not looking at problem solving. Now, by the way, seeking solutions and problem solving are two different things. Do we agree? Now, why teams struggle? This is an analysis of the whole brain model, which says there are few idea generators. Now, the question for you, from which side do ideas come? Right. I don't think they need the mic. They are angry and hungry, so don't worry. Yeah. So from which dimension? R1, right side. And in right side, which side? R2 or R1? R1, imaginary or strategic. Now, if you have a team where you have less of R1s, will you get ideas? No. Now, that's the problem in some of the teams. Now, in some of the teams, the other problem is great ideas, that means you have more of R1s, but less of L1, L2s, where you have you've heard of this concept called NATO, NATO, not the political NATO I'm talking about. We have NATO combinations in our schools and in our teams. You know what is NATO? No action, talk only. Right? So we have multiple people in fact, even the political scenario, I don't know, media is here, it's NATO. Right? But in the school, no action, talk only. You have multiple people sitting there and raising their hands or giving their ideas. But then finally what happens? Ideas remain ideas. Ideas actually remain idle. You don't have execution power. So that's where the problem comes from. But then if you want to have a combination, that's where the whole brain education comes in, or whole brain leadership comes in, which is a well-balanced team. As she said, you need to have a combination. And the combination is, you see this. The L1s are your problem solvers, the L2s are your organizers, the R2s are the networkers, and the R1 are the visionaries. Now, I'm quickly running through because I want to set the context and come to you. So that's why I will quickly run with an example. And the example, you can see all of these people who are combinations. Now, I want to ask you questions as you see them. Can you identify at least one pair on the screen? I think the fourth pair is very, very popular. Yes? Now, can you differentiate which dimension or which quadrant does Steve Jobs come from or Tim Cook comes from? Okay, he says Tim is on the left and Steve is on the right. Any other arguments? Take other pair for that matter, David Packard and Bill Hewlett. Both the hemispheres work intimately. But if you look at their preferences, what do you think they are from?
You can't really specify. So there's a lot of research happening on it from last 11 years on whole brain, and there's a lot of criticism on the same. However, we can't just pinpoint that this is what this picture would say. I defer that opinion.
Okay. How many of you agree with her, and how many of you think that no, it's clear, Steve is on the right side and Tim Cook is on the left side? Yeah, let's have some discussion here. It has to be a mix of everything.
And whatever, obviously, the judgment that we make about Steve or Tim is something that we know from the books that we have read or the movies and all. I've personally not been with Steve, so it's really difficult to, absolutely.
Fantastic. He says, I personally have not, none of us have personally been with Steve.
And I don't think we've gone into their brain and done a research as to which aspect of their brain was working when they were studying in school or in college, and that's a lot of research that's happening all around the world. And that's why they say that both sides of the brain work intimately to basically take many areas which earlier historical was very clearly identified as left side and the right side. So it's very hard to say, no, he was talking from the right side and he's from the left side. I totally don't agree.
Okay, so let's convert the question. Yes, ma'am, you have.
I also think, if they were not using both the sides, they would not be so successful in business also. If, for example, Chanel and Pierre, maybe they were great inventors, organizers, but if they were not, I think, socialists or preservers, they would not be so successful in business also. Like maybe they've invented great things and they had great thought, but I think to be successful, the business acumen also counts.
Fantastic.
So I think it's every time it is a mix.
It's a combination.
It can never be black and white. It has
So
to
what
be
is
gray.
coming out from the room is it's a combination. Yes.
So if I just because we are discussing and it's important to add another perspective, I mean, I could say we do make our judgments based on what we see. So I agree there could be a combination, but when we are observing or when we are coming to we do make our judgments that this person could be more L1 or L2 or R1 or R2, depending on whatever category you want to put in. I think it makes it easier that we do categorize. So we do have to be mindful of making that big judgment of completely black and white, but at the same time, we make our way around the world by having some sort of judgments in our heads to say, okay, this could be this and this could be that. It just makes it easy to navigate the process.
Fantastic. Just pass the mic back. She has a point. Yeah.
I've received the
Yes.
mic. You know, the brain, everybody has the left brain and the right brain. And it depends upon how much you use which part of the brain. And that part of the brain develops.
Correct.
And use of that brain and that, you know, whatever characteristics of that brain happens. So it is the responsibility of the schools or, you know, of the adults around to ensure that both part of the brain develop simultaneously.
Great. So I'll stop here for an activity. I'll come back to you, sir. But the point is, they say that everybody has the right and the right brain. So let's do an activity and look at the coincidence. The room is divided into 4 quadrants. So you have the aisle here. Okay, so I will not name you anything. I won't say L1, L2, R1, R2. I will leave it to you people. But then the activity is like this. You have a pencil on your table, at least the front tables, you have a pencil, right? Now discuss among yourselves, in your partners, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, whatever. Discuss and come up with one idea how that pencil can be improved for utility. Got it? How that can be improved. That's a simple task. So you have a couple of minutes, you discuss, and then we will pass the mic around and let's take ideas from the room. Right? How a pencil can be improved. I mean, discuss. If you have the answer ready, just hold on. You don't need a partner. You just have a discussion. If you want to discuss about your idea with your friend, please go ahead and do it. Because I don't want to create commotion in the room. Maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then we are. The best idea will get to go out of this room first to have lunch. Others are discussing. Yeah, I will just wait. Are we ready to share ideas? Okay, great. Go ahead. Listen to this because I'll ask questions at the end and we'll have to put them into quadrants. Okay? Okay. So she's saying, I'll repeat it for you. She's saying there should be a sharpener and an eraser attached to the pencil. That's her point of view. Yes?
Should we say further?
Yes, go ahead.
Should we add on?
Just raise your hand
Yeah,
so that I can see where you are.
definitely,
Yeah.
I'm here. Definitely, I can see a pencil right at the back of you, having a eraser at the back.
Okay. No, not
Very
that.
well said. I'm just saying, pencil, for sure, if I start from the inside, the lead can be improved further. Can look better instead of being black only. Pencil, like we used to use in our ancient time, sharpened from both the sides. Let's start accepting that. That will save your time for erasing. Pencils, definitely our little children, they add on at the back ping pongs and number of things to beautify them. Pencils can have in front that holder in front, which is normally there in the pens, not to get sticky in the time of seasons when we sweat.
Great. So you stop there. Let others also have some ideas. You stop there now. You've given me 5 ideas. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
It can be decorated. Hello?
Yes, I can't see
Yeah,
you. Where's the voice coming from?
I am here.
Okay. Yeah.
It can be decorated and work the both side.
It can be decorated and made to work both sides. Okay.
Sharpen eraser also can be there. This is the idea. It is already.
That's your idea. Fine. Yes, there, gentlemen.
Yeah, one common idea is the pain point in a pencil is it is never sharpened, right? So if there is an auto sharpener.
Okay, think
so
education with technology. Look at that
yeah.
auto sharpener. Huh? You need automated
so
sharpness. Okay. Yes, here, lady there.
Yeah, we can have a pencil with same kind of autocorrector and auto motivator. Like teachers use lot of motivational things, so that pencil itself will do a auto correction and giving some auto motivational things to the children.
So the pencil is going to say, you can write, go ahead,
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead.
The pencil can show or display your pending works.
Display of pending work. It's like a thermometer, huh? You
Yeah.
said? Okay. Your social
How
studies
much work
homework
is
to be done.
pending, and it can keep on highlighting there.
Okay. It's a display of pending work. Any more ideas? Yeah, we'll come to the topic. It's on the topic, sir. I'll come to you. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Pencils could
Any
also
other
have a
ideas from
different-
this side? Yes?
Yes, so a pencil can have more of lead inside because most of the times the problem is a child has to sharpen it frequently. So if just that transition between one pinpoint to another pinpoint could be extended and there could be more lead, I think it would be better for the
Okay.
child.
So we will stop here now and take the first few ideas. The lady here, a friend of mine here said that it should have an eraser and a sharpener. Where is she coming from? What is the thought preference she is having? Utility, logical utility, right? A person there, he gave an array of ideas, said it should be having some kind of a, what is that? You said the word you use at the back? Ping pongs and some, yeah. So style and decoration, aesthetics and other thing. So the point is, as we discussed, all of us know that it should be a combination. But when we act out of one domain. You come from the logical domain for that point of time. Somebody came from the imaginary domain. Somebody come from the feel and the motivation, the inspiration. So this is what I wanted to say when I wanted to talk about whole brain education, where we know, while we agree that everything has to be in combination, but then the thinking preference happens in that pronounced area. And that's exactly what happens in your classrooms. That's exactly what happens in your classroom. Children have a way to assimilate in a holistic manner, but when they have to act, they act in one particular manner, right? So that's the thing. So that's where I stop, and then we come to the discussion where we will open the floor for people on these talking areas. The first talk area is building great institutions of learning. That's one of the key points. Second is creating future-proof institutions that will adapt for tomorrow's challenges. Third, exploring the balance between traditional models and technology-driven schools. And fourth, using technology to craft experiences that will prepare young people to become architects of their own learning. Now, we will have the people who are on this panel, sitting in this room, present their views. The mic will be passing across. So whatever you have prepared, so we'll come in an order table-wise. If we have people from the panel here, you can speak your views and then pass it on to the next table and to the next table. So anybody here in this table who are on the panel who can discuss, you have a viewpoint to speak? Yes, you can share. Please pass the mic there. If you have a viewpoint, you can share. Okay. Now, yes, sir.
It's very good to hear that people talk about technology and about the institutions. And the odd thing is that those 4 points topics focus on institutions, schools, and architects of their own learning. And I'd very much like to talk about that last one, about being the architects of their own learning. If we really want a student to take responsibility for their learning and to circumvent all of the issues that have been mentioned so far today in the inaugural ceremony as well as the last talking, then we need to be able to present students with real life situations to solve. It doesn't matter which subject area they're working on, because then you motivate them to find the solutions. So how can we do that? By probably, instead of presenting results or solutions, just open up and go into an inquiry situation where students will use thinking skills or develop their own thinking skills and make use of data, which they, at their different levels, will collect and learn to use. The other aspect that's very important for real-life learning is that if students learn within a community, we form clusters of friends that like similar things, the same with kids. If they learn in a community, they will get to know more kids who think differently, who have different ways of solving the same problem. And that is very important. That then would build an intrinsic ability to be able to think, to use data, solve problems, and develop their own thinking skills. And the how is supported by technology.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Go ahead, it's on.
Yes, my point is, I'm Ragini Bhattanagar from Jaipur, Modern Defense Senior Secondary School. My point is, every time we are talking about technology, but we have to think about the class. We have one class and different type of students are. My point is how to implementation of that. Now, this how to implement the technology to each and every student, because my school is associated with the rural area also. Some students are coming from the villages. So many problems are to implement the technology. So we have to think first of all that how every student take advantage of this.
Okay, can anybody give her some ideas how to implement technology? Because she has a school filled with mix of crowd, from urban India, come from rural India. Yes? Yeah, so we'll go with that gentleman and then come to here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. I'm representing Next Education. Well, as far as implementation of technology is concerned, I would grade here of the knowledge of the teachers first, because we need to empower IT expertise to the teachers who are actually going to be the user for delivering quality learning in the classroom. Because the moment the children are away from the class, they are IT enabled. But the moment they are in the classroom, they're dependent on that individual who is otherwise has to be a substitute for Google, but is not. He is still with the rod through his tongue, no talking. So no talking is a preference, a verbal dimension given to the children, but it is not IT enabled. So he has to talk the tongue of websites, links, something like searching for a Pokemon Go out of the blue, that yes, you're going to get the knowledge here. That website uploaded an update there. That blog talks about this. I hope children, you have got that app downloaded there so that you are in link with the children. And that expertise, madam, which you're talking about, living here, living there, the requirement is the awareness of the teachers for being IT enabled. It is just not like complete information to that individual if he is having a smartphone and working through WhatsApp. That's not the end of it.
So awareness is what you're saying.
Awareness is something what heads of school should talk about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my experience is that I am running school in urban area and the rural area also. The students of rural area are more intelligent. And
Sir, little
to
louder.
introduce technology, first we need to give autonomy. Autonomy very important to the students. And I am running green school. I am using latest technology. And yes, everybody and technology is available everywhere. Every time I am using latest technology. My entire school is Wi-Fi. All yes, teacher are also trained. Teacher, the entire green school is driven by the student-driven concept, and this my green school, as I tell you, this is the most sustainable, affordable. Our operating cost is less than 70% in normal school, scalable, and the goal is that student fitness level, there is no sick leave. And 100% retention of the teachers and community involvement, 100%. There is nobody leaves. Those who joins, I am running since 2010, nobody leaves till now. I don't know for tomorrow, but till now. It
Okay.
is in Gujarat, in Modasa. And we have started 450, now we have 950 students.
Okay, fantastic, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
So please-
I am from Javar Pragyan Public School, and it is also situated in a semi-urban area. And in the winter, in the rainy seasons, we always have a flood in our Khadar. But I would like to say that we have to make the best use of our resources, and we have to be dependent over the community also. As just ma'am and sir said, that we should be able to use the technology. But I think so this technology is a double-edged sword. So we have to be very careful in permitting our students to use the technology. Otherwise, it is better for us to provide them the knowledge. And sir, I would like to share some view that we don't have +2 humanities subjects in the Teach Next. So sir, please provide them also. Because we are running humanities and I am the political science.
Sir, that you will have to go to their stall now. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to share with this person, if you read Dr. Soghamitra's research, he just made a hole in the wall and just put one computer there, and children learned on their own. So whether you are in rural India or whether you are in urban India, it's just that you need to start somewhere. And I don't think with today's kids, we're talking about whole brain thinking, they are much smarter and they don't need any training. They use mobile phones better than any one of us. And if you can only afford one computer in the wall, it can make a difference. That's what the research shows. So I think that's something that you can
fantastic.
try.
And just to add on that, I think involvement of parents, here.
Okay. Now some are with the mic, some are without the mic.
Okay.
And the
So involvement of parent is also very important. So we are running schools in all 9 states, that is called Global Discovery Schools. And we do come up time to time with a workshop where we invite parents, and especially a city like Malsiya, Rampura, Phul, which is 50-60 kilometers from Batinda and Jalandhar. So we do invite them on a workshop, educate them how to use tablet, how to use a laptop or desktop, and get all the details what going to be passed from the central office to the school and school to the parents.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to
sir just
intervene.
spoke
I
about
would like to
Pokemon.
intervene. Our topic is building institutions. What was the topic? First subtopic. Building institutions for great learning.
Yes.
Hope you all will agree with me. We should just build institution for great learning. No institution is great. Learning has to be great. So I redefine the topic. We should talk about
It is
building institution for great learning.
future-proof institutions.
That's okay, future-proof. Automatically, you all would agree with me, your little children, toddlers in the school, they can play so well on mobile phones where oldies have to struggle for this. If a child gets a safer environment, where he gets emotionally strong environment, well taken care of, as number of points Mr. Prasada from CBSE had touched, value education and everything, along with definitely future technology, I'm sure future-proof schools are ready. So let's take care of that also.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I have another perspective here.
Yes.
Hi. So this is Tonal again from Global Discovery Schools. I have another point to add to the perspective is that when we talk about creating great schools and great learning, what is also important is that we understand that once the child goes back home, there also has to be a conducive environment that propagates learning for the child. It cannot be learning disabled once the child goes back home. So parent engagement and onboarding the parents along parent education and having them walk with us hand in hand as an institution is also responsibility that a school shares and shoulders with the parent in terms of bringing up the child completely. So while we aim at creating great institutions, we also have to make sure that the thread goes back home also and creates some conducive elements for the child.
Okay, I want to stop here and ask people to talk on this. It says exploring the balance between the traditional model and the technology-driven school. Can we talk about that?
Yes. Yes.
Can I
Actually,
So we'll have the lady go first and then. Yeah.
Thank you. So,
My pleasure.
So I think what's really important, I mean, we've seen an explosion of technology products, people talking about being technology-driven schools, and yes, that's really, really the key. But I think we have to be mindful of the fact that if there is something going on in the classroom, and a lot of times you see that projects becomes a run for an internet. And actually, nothing actually comes out of it. The learning objectives are lost. So how do you balance what you're teaching in the classroom through a conceptual lens? So whatever that you're teaching, so to give you an example, if let's say you're talking about media, but if you teach it with a conceptual lens, thinking about media as a change in society, rather than just doing things on media and collecting stuff on media. So I think what's really key to keep in mind is that yes, technology-driven schools, very important, but how do you balance that? And I think that's where a paradigm shift is important. And a lot of people talked about teachers and parents being on board, and I think that's really the key. I mean, as far as we are users, we are we are users of technology. We are not native users. I mean, teachers who are here, if I may say that with confidence, yes, we're not native users. So we weren't born with that kind of technology. For us, it's a huge paradigm shift that how do I adjust that I'm not somebody who the child's going to come for all information and knowledge. I just have to ensure that I'm able to guide the student that's in my class to be able to sift relevant from irrelevant, and that's where digital literacy comes in. And that's really the key, because what in the morning people spoke about criminal and the cyber crime and all of that, and such an important aspect. Yes, you want to be technology driven, you want to have smart classrooms, but that's where the focus has been sadly only. You need to think about digital literacy, you need to think about how do you get your teachers to have that paradigm shift, and not just shift in the teaching and learning going on in the classroom, but also shift in the way we assess. Because I don't think we've really thought about, is there a shift in our assessment ways as well? We do a lot of change in the teaching and learning in the classroom, but the assessment still remains a paper and pencil assessment test. So how do we combine that?
But I think that is changing, is it not? In schools and across the board, the assessment also is changing. As we talk today, that assessment needs to change, but there are schools which are changing their approach towards assessments. Yes.
Yes, schools, yes, but I'm talking about a larger level change,
yes.
At a change of the governments where assessment is thought of differently as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I want to start my point with the Gautam Garodia has just before the half an hour he told about the human or man's behavior. Actually, we all, sorry to all of you, but I want to divert the whole thing into the last two key points. The exploring the traditional model with the technology and the experience for the future generation. Actually, we don't have a time, but I want to just show you all of you the one picture which I have created. If we are using the technology, we all are agreed that obviously after this remedy, we are getting a 3 side effects in all the students. The first one is that he become an introvert. Second, less physical growth. And third, lacking in emotional intelligence. But if we use this model, which I want to show you, that in one hand, teacher is handovering the new laptop, and in right hand is handovering the football. Actually, I want to tell to all of, to say that if we create this policy, I think it is the best model for traditional and intelligence. We have to create a combo package only. This is only the solution. Why I kept the football only? Because it is the need, the one word it is used here, that is, we have to create for a future. Or if I use the perfect word, corporate, culture, job-based, what they need 3 things: teamwork, passion, and pressure. How to take the passion with the pressure. And football is the best example for it. Therefore, I create that. With this, only I want to add that, yes, what we can do with this, we all can get this all, whatever we have told, laptop, that now just 2 gentlemen has presented their wonderful product with ICT. If we start the 2 things which we have started in our school, that is, we have a 4 smart board and everything, whatever as Sal told, we are very small urban area, and in that also with 4 smart, Wi-Fi area we have created. But what we have started, two things as we told about the tradition. As in, our students arrive and departure, that time 20 minutes we have given them whatever they want to play. After every prayer, for 1.5 minutes, they are doing the silence. They are preparing after the assembly also this thing. So therefore, after that, every Thursday we have one play day. Whatever they want to play, they can play. So if we can create this.
So the basic point what he's trying to drive here is a balance between
combo package.
technology
If we create the combo
and the
package,
traditional models.
If we create the combo package, that is only the solution
Fantastic.
for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think as educators, I'll come back to you, sir. You will have the last word. Yes, you had a point to say? Yeah. So the point is, as educators, I know that there are a lot of things which we can talk about. These topics are not topics which can be discussed in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. The point is that we only come together to resolve that it is the combination, it is the balance, and we need to deliver this combination and a working combination for the future. I think that's the point which we are trying to resolve. The gentleman there, you have some points, so you can. Earlier. So how do you think in this time when the technology is taking over so quickly, how do you think that your thought, your idea of how we can use that? Precisely. Great. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Can
lady
I
here.
just?
Yes, madam.
Can I just add a perspective to what we're talking? I think we all realize that there's a lot of technology getting into schools. We also understand that there needs to be a great balance. But I think, the right use of technology or the limited use of technology is always to the discretion of the teacher. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration. Most bright ideas, are generated from the human brain. And I think here now the generation is growing up to, if there is a problem, let's just go to Google Baba. And all solutions are going to be found there. And I think the ability to think creatively and innovate without any referencing through the internet is something that should be curbed in schools. See, using it at a higher stage where you need something for a survey, you need a lot of data, I think is acceptable. But I think the very fact that, a lot of creativity and innovation can come from within the child itself should not be undermined. So I think that's where I think there are two schools of thought that, who do believe that use technology only where it needs to. Otherwise, just let the learning process be as natural as it can be.
So use technology only when it is needed and let the learning be as natural as it be. So that's the wonderful point. That's a fantastic point to actually come to a kind of a perspective of this. Last 2 points we will take from those 2 hands which I saw. In the interest of time, we are going to wind this up. We can continue to have our conversations offline when we network over lunch. One there and one gentleman here. Yes. Yes, yes, you yourself. Please stand. Yeah. Yes. No, it's not working.
Hello. I am from Fitness 365. Just to give you a background, I come from a technology background as well as a sports background. Okay. I just wanted to share from an education standpoint how do we apply technology and how it actually helps. We work in schools across the country. So what we have done is that we have used technology to structure the curriculum. Like sports is an area where you have physical education teachers who are not really tech savvy. What we have seen is that if you have the right level of information, right content, then people start using it. So you can actually, the question is that if you are, whether you are in rural India or in urban India, if the content is right, if that actually helps you to improve yourself as part of the skill development. So one area of usage of technology is from a skill development point of view. The second advantage of technology is that you can actually use technology to get ideas from everywhere. If you are in multiple schools, you actually have so many people who can contribute. We maintain something like an ISO document in terms of the defects that we recognize and we find in different schools. So you can use technology to get a lot of information back and then improve yourself. So technology is a great tool. Otherwise, if you have static information in terms of whether it is content or delivery, so that's the second thing. The third thing is from an assessment point of view, the way we use assessment, because we do a lot of work on the ground, sports and fitness. But the assessment that is done on the ground, we tell every school that we should be able to improve fitness by about 5% every year. So you can use technology to track the performance of children and put benchmarks for improvement, whether it is at the school level, classroom, or for every child. So technology actually helps in terms of using a lot of data analytics to put all of that perspective in place. And so unless you actually involve, though we use a lot of technology, we don't talk about it. It's basically on the ground. And it's only the parents who actually see what is the activity that a child has done. But what you actually do is a lot of on-ground activity.
So that's the point.
Combination of on-ground activity and online presence and online visibility of data. So if you actually combine both the things, and
that becomes powerful. That's what they say, that you use technology as long as you need it, but then where you can rely on your own self, go there.
Right. So we call it as assessment, intervention, monitoring. So you do assessment, but the intervention is very important, which is on ground, and of course parents can actually do the monitoring. So
Thank you, sir.
That's
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Last word. You had something to say. Yeah. No, it is not blaming. The group of educators here are not blaming technology. They realize the value of technology and how empowering it is. They are only saying at the cost of subscribing to technology, let's not lose track on the value system and the traditional models. There is no blame game. I completely take your point. Nobody is against a particular point of view. It's just that at the cost of subscribing to technology and more technological interventions, let us not lose track and focus on the traditional models which have been working for some time. So on this note, I will have to close the session in the interest of time. Thank you so much, and we look forward to engaging with you in a meaningful discussion again.
Chandrasekhar, for taking the discussion forward. We would like to present a memento to you for gracing us being the moderator for the session.